The Criterion warriors moved through Earth's Amazon rainforest like ghosts made of silver scales. Their leader, Commander VexADH, checked his tactical display with confidence. 3 strike teams, each with 8 elite soldiers, spread across the dense jungle. Their mission was simple: establish a forward base for the invasion force. The primitives abandoned this sector. VexADH communicated through neural link. Their technology cannot match our stealth fields. The aliens had studied Earth for months. They knew humans relied on visible spectrum and basic heat sensors. The Criterions' advanced suits bent light around them and masked thermal signatures. Their weapons fired plasma bolts that could punch through any Earth-made armor. Deep in the canopy above, Maria Santos adjusted her position on a thick branch. The former Brazilian Special Forces sniper had been tracking the aliens for 2 days. She wore no advanced suit, just mudcake fatigues that blended with the jungle. Her rifle was nothing special, a modified Barrett M82 with custom ammunition. Maria watched the aliens through her scope. They moved confidently, unaware that human eyes had evolved in these jungles for thousands of years. The Criterions trusted their technology, but Maria trusted something older: instinct and patience. The first alien team reached a clearing near a river bend. They began setting up equipment, strange metallic structures that unfolded like mechanical flowers. Maria counted their positions, memorized their movements. The aliens had patterns, just like any predator. But they had forgotten something important. In this jungle, humans were the apex predator. She noticed how they relied on their displays, constantly checking readings instead of watching the actual forest. Their suits hummed with barely audible energy. To alien ears, it was nothing. To someone who had spent her childhood in these trees, it was like a beacon. Maria loaded a special round. The bullet was her own design, tungsten core wrapped in copper, with a ceramic tip that would superheat on impact. She had tested it on captured alien armor plates. At the right angle, it would penetrate. The wind shifted slightly. Leaves rustled in a pattern that meant rain within the hour. Maria smiled. Rain would mask sound and blur their sensors even more. She marked her first target, a communications specialist setting up a tall antenna. Through her scope, she watched the alien's head tilt up, scanning the canopy with 4 eyes. But he looked for technology signatures, not for the patient human who had covered herself in mud and moss. This was the alien's first mistake, assuming human warriors would fight like they did. Maria controlled her breathing. Her heartbeat slowed to match the rhythm of the forest. Insects buzzed around her, accepting her as part of their world. A bright parrot landed on a nearby branch, squawking loudly. The aliens ignored it, just another primitive life form. The second team appeared on her left flank, moving toward high ground. They wanted overlapping fields of fire, standard tactical doctrine. But their formation was too tight, too dependent on their technology to coordinate. Maria marked their positions in her mind, creating a mental map. Her grandfather had hunted jaguars with a bow in this same forest. He taught her that the jungle itself was alive, that it would help those who respected it. The aliens saw only trees and obstacles. They didn't see the living system that had already marked them as intruders. A howler monkey's call echoed through the trees. The aliens tensed, weapons raising slightly. But when nothing happened, they relaxed. Another mistake. Maria had learned that animals were the jungle's alarm system. Their calls meant something had changed. She spotted the third team setting up on a ridge overlooking the river. Perfect positioning for conventional warfare. But this wasn't conventional. This was her home, her rules. The aliens had technology, but Maria had something they couldn't scan for: generations of human evolution shaped by this very environment. The rain started as a light mist. Maria pulled her rifle tight against her shoulder. The aliens' energy shields shimmered as water hit them, creating brief, visible outlines. They adjusted their suits to compensate, but those milliseconds of visibility were all Maria needed. She had one shot before they triangulated her position. One shot to send a message that would echo through their ranks. The communications specialist was still working, confident in his suit's protection. Maria centered her crosshairs on a weak point she had noticed. Where the helmet met the neck armor, there was a gap when they looked up. The forest held its breath. Even the insects seemed to pause. Maria's finger found the trigger, applying pressure as smooth as silk. In moments, the jungle would teach these invaders why humans had survived every predator Earth had ever produced. The rifle spoke with a thunderous crack that shattered the jungle's humid silence. The tungsten bullet flew true, covering 800 meters in less than a second. It struck exactly where Maria aimed, the gap between helmet and neck armor. The communications specialist's shields flickered uselessly as the superheated ceramic tip punched through, followed by the tungsten core. The alien dropped without a sound, purple blood spraying across the antenna array. For a heartbeat, the other Critherians froze, their minds unable to process what happened. Their suits showed no enemy signatures, no technology readings, nothing but empty jungle. Maria was already moving. She slid down the tree trunk using a technique learned from indigenous hunters, her hands barely touching the bark. Behind her, plasma bolts turned the branch where she'd been into smoking splinters. Sniper! Sniper! Vex ADH's neural link blazed with warnings. But where? Their sensors showed nothing. No heat signature, no electronic emissions, no gravitational anomalies. Just trees and rain and death. The strike teams scattered into defensive positions, their training taking over. Shields powered to maximum, creating shimmering domes of energy. They swept their weapons across the canopy, firing at shadows and movement. Monkeys screamed and fled. Birds exploded from their roosts in panicked clouds. Maria reached the forest floor and immediately went prone in a tangle of roots. Plasma fire lit up the jungle like a deadly light show, but the aliens were shooting blind. They expected to fight an enemy like themselves, technology-dependent, predictable. Instead, they faced something far older and more dangerous. She crawled through the undergrowth, each movement calculated. The rain intensified, turning the ground into mud. Perfect. The alien suits were designed for multiple environments, but Earth's jungles were unique. The combination of humidity, biological matter, and constant water played havoc with their sensors. From her new position, Maria could see the aliens regrouping. They formed a defensive circle around their equipment, shields overlapping. Smart tactics against a conventional opponent. But Maria wasn't conventional. She pulled out a small mirror, angling it to watch their positions without exposing herself. The second team moved to flank where her shot had come from. They advanced in perfect formation, covering each other. Their leader gestured commands, maintaining communication discipline. But they moved too carefully, too mechanically. The jungle required fluid adaptation, not rigid protocol. Maria noticed something interesting. When the aliens stepped in certain places, their suits' weight distribution systems whined slightly, barely audible, but the jungle floor wasn't uniform. Centuries of rain had created hidden channels and soft spots covered by debris. The aliens' technology kept them balanced, but it was working harder than they realized. She selected her next position, a fallen tree covered in vines, 30 meters from their perimeter. The crawl would take her through a stream bed. The water would mask any heat her body generated, and the mineral content would scatter their electromagnetic sensors. As she moved, Maria thought about the briefing she'd received. The aliens considered humans primitive because they saw no massive energy signatures, no planet-wide defense grids. They missed the real human advantage, adaptation. Every environment on Earth had shaped humans differently, creating specialists for every terrain. The third team established overwatch positions, their long-range weapons scanning methodically. Maria memorized their patterns. Every species had habits, rhythms they fell into when stressed. The Critherians swept in precise 30-degree arcs, taking exactly 3 seconds per sweep. Predictable. She reached the fallen tree and carefully parted the vines. Through a gap, she could see Vex ADH directing the recovery of their fallen comrade. The commander's armor was more elaborate, with additional shield generators. A harder target, but not impossible. Maria loaded another specialized round. This one had a delayed charge. The bullet would penetrate first, then explode milliseconds later. She designed it after studying their armor's reactive properties. The shields could stop instant impacts, but struggled with sequential attacks. The rain drummed harder, creating a white noise that filled the jungle. Thunder rumbled overhead. The aliens looked up nervously. Their homeworld had no weather like this, no chaotic electrical storms that could interfere with technology. One of the younger warriors stepped too close to the perimeter, his attention focused upward. Maria marked him, not her primary target, but an opportunity. She adjusted for wind, for the rain's weight on the bullet's trajectory, for the target's movement pattern. But she didn't fire. Not yet. Let them think the sniper had fled. Let them believe their show of force had worked. Overconfidence was another weapon in her arsenal. The alien stepped back into formation, never knowing how close death had been. The Critherians began to relax slightly. Their suits showed no threats for 1,000 meters in any direction. Vex 80H ordered the communications equipment rebuilt, designated new operators. They would complete their mission. One primitive sniper couldn't stop the inevitable invasion. Maria smiled grimly. They still didn't understand. This wasn't about stopping them. It was about sending a message. Every dead alien would teach the others fear. Fear of the trees, fear of the shadows, fear of the rain itself. By the time she was done, they would jump at falling leaves. Night fell like a black curtain across the jungle. The darkness was absolute under the canopy, but Maria moved through it like she was born to it. The aliens activated night vision modes, their suits glowing faintly with enhanced sensors. Another mistake. In true darkness, any light source became a target. She had spent the afternoon preparing. Not just positioning, but psychological warfare. Using river clay, she had painted symbols on trees around their perimeter, crude figures that looked like eyes. To the alien sensors, they were just mineral deposits. But when caught in peripheral vision, they seemed to watch. The Critherians had managed to establish a basic camp, their shields forming a protective dome. They took turns standing guard, weapons ready. But Maria could see the tension in their movements. Every jumble sound made them twitch. Good. Fear was exhausting. Exhausted enemies made mistakes. She positioned herself in a tree hollow, completely concealed. From here, she could observe their entire camp. The aliens had posted sentries at optimal positions, creating interlocking fields of fire. Textbook perfect, but textbooks weren't written in the Amazon. Maria pulled out a small gourd, a gift from a local tribe. Inside was a paste made from plants that grew nowhere else on Earth. She smeared it on her exposed skin. Within minutes, her scent changed, becoming indistinguishable from the forest itself. The aliens might have thermal masking, but humans have been hiding from predators far longer. A sentry named Crixon stood at the eastern post. He was younger than the others, his movements still carrying the eager precision of training rather than experience. Maria had been watching him for hours. He checked his scanner every 45 seconds, like clockwork. Between checks, his attention wandered to the jungle sounds. She didn't need to kill him. Not yet. Instead, she picked up a smooth stone and threw it with practiced accuracy. It struck a tree 20 meters behind him with a sharp crack. Crixon spun, weapon raised, scanning frantically. Nothing. His commander's voice crackled over comms, demanding a report. Possible contact, Crixon reported. Investigating. Negative, Vex 80H ordered. Maintain position. Could be deception, but the seed was planted. Every sound now seemed threatening. When a branch fell naturally 10 minutes later, Crixon nearly opened fire. His teammates began to doubt his steadiness. Doubt spread like infection in close units. Maria waited another hour, then used a thin vine to shake bushes on the opposite side of camp. 2 sentries responded this time, weapons tracking. When they found nothing, arguments started. Was the sniper toying with them? How many humans were out there? She smiled at their confusion. They couldn't comprehend a single human causing such disruption. Their doctrine assumed numerical superiority, technological advantage. But jungle warfare wasn't about numbers, it was about knowing the terrain intimately. Around midnight, she made her next move. Crawling to within 50 meters of their perimeter, she left something for them to find: a bullet. Not fired, just placed where a patrol would discover it. On its surface, she had scratched a number, 1. The patrol found it an hour later. The discovery sent ripples of unease through the camp. It meant the sniper had been inside their perimeter, close enough to touch them. Their technology had detected nothing. How many more bullets were hidden? How many bore their names? VexADH examined the bullet personally. The primitive markings seemed to mock their advanced civilization. He ordered full sensor sweeps, but found only jungle. The bullet's message was clear: death could come at any moment, from any direction. Double the watch, he commanded. Full combat awareness. But doubling the watch meant exhausting his troops faster. Full combat awareness meant jumping at shadows. Maria had turned their strength, their discipline, into a weakness. Rigid adherence to protocol didn't work when the enemy refused to follow any rules they understood. She moved to her fourth position of the night, a muddy depression near a stream. The water masked her heat signature completely, while the mud provided perfect camouflage. From here, she had clear lines of sight to 3 sentry positions. The alien named Zextar stood at the north post, fighting to stay alert. His species required regular rest cycles, and he was overdue. His suit compensated with stimulants, but those had limits. Maria watched his head droop slightly, then snap back up. Time for second shot. She loaded another specialized round, this one designed to fragment on impact. The fragments would be too small for their medical equipment to extract easily. Wounded enemies consumed more resources than dead ones. But first, more psychological pressure. She triggered a small noisemaker she'd placed earlier, just a hollow reed that whistled in the wind. The sound was eerie, almost like breathing. 3 sentries oriented on it immediately, but their sensors showed nothing living. "Commander," one reported nervously. "Permission to investigate the anomaly?" "Denied. Maintain positions." But maintaining positions while surrounded by invisible threats was its own form of torture. The aliens were warriors, trained to face enemies head-on. This shadow war violated every instinct they had. They wanted to attack, to pursue, to act. Instead, they could only wait and react. The second shot came at dawn's first light, when shadows played tricks and tired eyes struggled to focus. Zextar never saw it coming. The fragmenting bullet struck his shoulder joint, where armor plates met. His shields flared but couldn't stop the specialized round. He screamed, a sound that chilled his comrade's blood, as ceramic fragments spread through his shoulder like burning seeds. Maria was already gone, having fired from inside a hollow log she'd prepared hours earlier. The alien's return fire obliterated her firing position, but hit only dead wood and earth. She watched from her new spot as chaos erupted in their camp. "Medical team," VexADH roared. They rushed to Zextar, but their healing tools couldn't extract the tiny fragments. Each piece burned with chemical heat, causing agony their pain suppressors couldn't fully block. Worse, they realized the fragments were designed to work deeper with movement. The psychological effect was devastating. Zextar's moans echoed through the camp as medics worked frantically. Every warrior imagined those fragments in their own flesh. Death was one thing, prolonged agony was another. Their advanced healing technology, so effective against energy weapons, seemed helpless against this primitive cruelty. Maria observed their panic with cold satisfaction. She'd learned this lesson from nature itself. A jaguar didn't always kill cleanly. Sometimes it wounded prey and let fear and blood loss do the work. The aliens were learning why humans had survived in places that killed everything else. By midday, the camp was in crisis. Zextar needed evacuation, but calling for pickup would mean admitting a single primitive had defeated 3 strike teams. VexADH's pride warred with practicality. His warriors watched him, faith wavering. Leaders who couldn't protect their troops didn't stay leaders long. Maria had moved to the river, submerged except for her eyes, and rifle barrel. The water was her ally. It had been flowing through these lands since before either species existed. She'd weighted herself down with stones, becoming part of the riverbed itself. Tiny fish swam around her, accepting her presence. The third team tried to take initiative. Their leader, Subcommander Yethri, proposed hunting the sniper actively. "We cannot win defensively," she argued. "Let us use our mobility advantage." Vex-ADH approved reluctantly. 5 warriors prepared to sweep the jungle in a search pattern. They activated full combat mode, shields at maximum, weapons charged, sensors scanning every spectrum they could imagine. They looked like gods of war stepping into the green hell. Maria watched them go, then turned her attention to the weakened camp. Fewer defenders meant more opportunities. She placed several more noisemakers during the night, simple devices that would activate at different times. Psychological warfare was about patterns. Create expectation, then break it. The first hunting team moved in perfect formation, covering each other. Their suits' adaptive camouflage made them shimmer like heat mirages. But Maria wasn't looking for them. She was watching what they disturbed. Birds fled before them. Insects went silent in their path. The jungle itself announced their presence to anyone who could read its language. She let them pass, then triggered the first noisemaker back at camp. A hollow wooden tube released compressed air, creating a sound like breathing. Then another from a different direction. Then a third. The remaining defenders spun frantically, trying to cover all approaches. "Contact! Multiple contacts!" someone screamed over comms. The hunting team rushed back, abandoning their search pattern. They found nothing but terrified comrades firing at shadows. Yethri's mandibles clicked in frustration. The sniper was making them dance like puppets, pulling strings they couldn't see or cut. Maria chose that moment of maximum confusion for her third shot. The target was a shield generator, not a warrior. The specialized armor-piercing round punched through its housing, causing it to overload. The explosion wasn't large, but it opened a gap in their perimeter defense. Now they faced a terrible choice: maintain the defensive position with a compromised perimeter or abandon the mission entirely. Either way meant failure. Vex-ADH could feel his warriors' eyes on him, measuring his leadership against their fear. He made the only decision his pride allowed. "We hold. Repair the generator. Double shifts for everyone." But doubling shifts meant exhausting his troops even faster. The jungle was patient. Maria was patient. The aliens were burning through resources, physical, mental, and emotional, at an unsustainable rate. Night approached again. In the fading light, several warriors swore they saw faces in the trees. Human faces painted in mud and shadow. When they looked directly, nothing was there. But peripheral vision kept catching movement, shapes, watching eyes. Maria's clay paintings were working perfectly, creating threats where none existed. One warrior finally snapped. Kixra had been on duty for 30 hours straight, his suit pumping stimulants into his system. When a howler monkey screamed directly above him, he opened fire with full auto, screaming incoherently. His plasma bolts carved burning lines through the canopy, starting several small fires. His teammates tackled him, but the damage was done. They'd revealed their position, wasted ammunition, and shown the sniper their breaking point. Worse, the fires would attract human attention. Local tribes who knew every tree, every path, every hiding spot. The jungle was turning against them, and they were helping it happen. The third dawn brought mist so thick it turned the world white. Visibility dropped to mere meters. The aliens' advanced sensors struggled to penetrate the water-heavy air mixed with smoke from the scattered fires. Their technology, designed for the clear void of space or the predictable atmospheres of conquered worlds, had never encountered anything like Earth's chaotic jungle weather. Maria moved through the mist like a ghost made flesh. She'd grown up playing in fog like this, learning to navigate by sound, smell, and instinct. The aliens huddled in their compromised perimeter, exhausted and demoralized. Half were wounded or traumatized. Their mission was in ruins. She'd save her most psychological weapon for last. During the night, She'd retrieved items from the first casualty, personal effects the aliens carried. A hollow image generator showing what might be family. A small token made of metal from their home world. She'd arranged these items in a pattern around their camp, each one bearing a number 2, 3, 4. Subcommander Ye3 found the first one. Her claws trembled as she recognized her fallen comrade's belongings. The numbers weren't random. They were a countdown. But to what? How many more would die? The sniper had been inside their perimeter again, close enough to place objects with surgical precision. "Commander," she reported, voice hollow. "The primitive, it's not just hunting us. It's studying us." VexADH examined the items. Each placement showed intimate knowledge of their patrol routes, their blind spots, their behavior patterns. The human had spent days learning them like a scientist studying specimens. They weren't the advanced civilization studying primitives. They were the ones being examined, cataloged, understood. The realization shattered their worldview. Their entire invasion strategy assumed technological superiority would guarantee victory. But here, in this green hell, their technology was a liability. It made them predictable, dependent, vulnerable to someone who needed nothing but patience and understanding of the environment. Maria positioned herself for the final shot. Not to kill, but to deliver a message. She'd identified their communication array's power source. A small fusion cell that would create a spectacular, but non-lethal explosion if breached correctly. The psychological impact would be worth more than any body count. Through the mist, she could see VexADH addressing his remaining warriors. His words didn't carry, but his body language spoke of defeat. 3 strike teams of elite Crytherian warriors, reduced to cowering in a failing defensive position by a single human who might as well be a jungle spirit. She fired. The fusion cell ruptured in a brilliant flash that lit up the mist like lightning. The explosion wasn't large enough to kill, but it destroyed their ability to call for extraction or support. They were trapped, at the mercy of an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't understand, couldn't fight. VexADH's roar of rage echoed through the jungle. His warriors looked at him with something worse than fear, loss of faith. Their commander, their technology, their training, all had failed against humanity's oldest warrior tradition, becoming one with the battlefield itself. Maria left her final message. Using a Crytherian datapad taken from the communication specialist, she recorded a simple video. Her face was painted in mud and ash, eyes calm and deadly. She spoke an accented but clear galactic standard. "You thought Earth was weak because you saw no planetary shields, no orbital weapons. You missed our true defense. Every environment on this planet has shaped us, evolved us, made us into perfect predators for our domains. The desert has its warriors. The mountains have theirs. The ice, the seas, the grasslands, all have humans who know them like you know technology. This jungle is mine. I am not separate from it. I am part of it. Your suit tells you temperature, humidity, threat vectors. My skin tells me the same things, processed by millions of years of evolution. You fight the jungle. I am a jungle. Take your wounded. Leave this place. Tell your empire that Earth doesn't need technology to defend itself. It has something far more dangerous. Humans who remember what we are. Predators. Survivors. The children of a world that has been trying to kill us since we stood upright. And failing. You have 12 hours before others arrive. Not soldiers, hunters, men and women who learned these paths as children, who can read the jungle's moods like you read your displays. They won't give warnings. They won't take wounded. They'll teach your empire why humanity owns this world. Go home, Commander VexADH. Tell them Earth is protected by something your technology can't defeat. Humans who never forgot how to be monsters when monsters are needed. This jungle drinks blood. We taught it to prefer alien. She placed the datapad where they'd find it, then vanished into the mist. From hidden positions, she watched them discover the message. Watched the last of their courage crumble. Watched them gather their wounded and flee, abandoning equipment worth fortunes. Within hours, they were gone. The jungle began reclaiming their camp immediately. vines already creeping over abandoned technology. Birds returned. Monkeys chattered. Life continued as it had for millions of years. Maria Santos sat in the canopy, cleaning her rifle. Below, local villagers emerged from hiding, examining alien equipment with careful curiosity. They'd stayed silent throughout the engagement, trusting their guardian to handle the invaders. Some things didn't change. The jungle protected those who respected it. She smiled, remembering her grandfather's words. Technology makes warriors lazy. Nature makes them legendary. The aliens had learned that lesson. Soon, their entire empire would learn it too. Earth was ready for invasion, just not the kind they expected. The jungle had taught its children well. And when the stars brought enemies, humanity's children would teach them why Earth's embrace was deadlier than any weapon technology could create. One environment at a time. One perfect predator at a time. One bullet at a time. The silent sniper shouldered her rifle and walked home through the green cathedral of her world, leaving only whispers and warnings for those who thought Earth was theirs for the taking. The jungle kept her secrets, as it always had, as it always would.